Would you be sized? You were sized for Kyler Murray. You want to shake it up with Antonio Brown?
I don't know what the cap
playmaker.
I don't know what the cap ramifications are for something. There's two issues.
He's basically, this is the way I look at it. If you get rid of Josh Norman, you can take on a salary like Antonio Brown.
If that's the case, sure. I would swap Josh Norman for Antonio Brown.
He's in the third year of a 5-year, $72.7 million extension, which he signed. Apparently, the Steelers would absorb $21.12 million in dead money if they trade him.
The Skins need playmakers, so I'm interested in any of them. Sure, I'm interested. There is a locker room element there that you have to consider, but
they usually don't worry about that.
We're so desperate for playmakers that I would be interested. Yeah. Sure.
I think the Redskins would look past any sort of character concerns or locker room friction if they could bring in a player of Antonio Brown's caliber.
Yeah. They could make it work.
They usually do.
I think they would.
I mean, they claim Reuben Foster.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they don't care about that.
All right.
But every team, I would think, would be interested.
I don't know. He does bring an element to your locker room, though, that you might not want.
Mm-hmm.
30 years old. He's still producing.
Give me his numbers his last 2 years.
Played 15 touchdowns this year.
Uh-huh. Just give me the
He
numbers.
was over 100 catches.
How about 1 million catches and 1 million catches the last 2 years?
Those are compelling numbers.
Yes.
Yeah, but
it's hard to beat.
It shows you, though, that even with all those amazing numbers, they'd rather be without him if they had their drugs.
Well, it's just gotten too much to be too much there. I mean, I'm sure they've been dealing with it for the last 5 years. It's just gotten to be too much. I mean, when you start making up things and you're missing practices and you're getting into verbal altercations with your quarterback.
And
enough's enough.
Wasn't he Facebooking live from the locker room or whatever he was doing?
Wasn't that after a playoff win?
That was a few years ago, yeah.
He also got butt hurt that he wasn't the team MVP, that it went to Juju Smith-Schuster.
How about I'll give you his numbers from 2013 on. 110 catches, 129, 136, 106, 101, 104.
Yeah. Well, those
and
numbers
then and again, the touchdowns are up there.
8, 13, 10, 12, 9, 15.
But he comes here with Colt or Mark Sanchez or
Kyler Murray.
Well, I don't know. I'm sized for Kyler.
I know you are.
He'd have 60 catches for 800 yards and 6 touchdowns.
So what you're saying is he would turn into Yarmir Yager as soon as he came here with the Caps.
He wouldn't put up those
Penguins.
numbers. There's no chance he'd put up 130 catches.
I wouldn't think.
He's had a Hall of Famer thrown to him.
He'd come here and have tops
half of that.
80.
He would have half
tops
of it.
80.
Yeah, but you would take 80.
I'd be sized.
You would love 80 catches from any wide receiver.
He gets separation, though. He's so quick. And everybody says he's one of the hardest workers out there. I think he'd make more plays than you'd think. Even with quarterbacks aren't that good because he'd get so open.
You got to have a guy willing to deliver the ball. Now, you don't have to worry about Alex because I'm telling you, I don't see a scenario where he comes back. But
well, he certainly isn't going to come back for week 1. If he came back, which I give about a 3% chance, he's not going to be available week 1.
I don't think so.
Maybe week 10.
So I don't know. That's why I'm willing to swing and miss on Kyler Murray.
I know you are. You're all in.
I'm all in on Kyler. But I would be sized for Dwayne Haskins, too, of course.
Would you be more sized for Haskins?
You have to maneuver for him, though.
Sure. But I don't think it's that realistic. And I'm not really that
I don't think it's that unrealistic. Can you punch up the draft right now? There aren't that many teams ahead of the Redskins that need quarterbacks because so many of the teams that had worse records than them drafted quarterbacks this year. The Bills, the Cardinals, the Jets, all these teams already drafted their quarterback.
Okay, but you're not factoring in teams that would trade up into those spots.
It's true, but there aren't that many. Like if you go through, because I thought about when we talked about Nick Foles.
Yeah.
Nick Foles is going to probably be a starter somewhere else besides Philly. How many jobs are open? There aren't that many.
All right, well, let's just think about it. All right. You don't know about Oakland. All right, so I know that they've signed Carr to a big deal, but you never know.
And they're at 4.
They may want to move on from him.
But I'm going to say they're not.
You don't really know about Tampa, even though they came in and said, all right, Jameis is our guy. But I give him one more year.
He might not be the long.
But you already jumped down, so you're acknowledging 1, 2, 3 are not going to be quarterback picks.
Correct. But then the Giants definitely would take a quarterback, I would think. Jacksonville would take a quarterback. You could go down to Denver. They could take a quarterback at 10. You just never know with some of these
Even
teams.
Cincinnati.
Yeah, you just don't know.
Your ceiling with Andy Dalton is only so high.
There will be teams that trade up to draft a quarterback. It happens every year.
If Haskins is blowing people away, or if someone really wants Kyler Murray, you know they're going to maneuver and get up there. Right. Which will add another element. It's going to happen.
I'm just saying I'm willing to roll the dice on a diminutive 5'9", the smallest quarterback I've ever seen.
He is.
I'm willing to roll the dice on it.
The only smaller quarterbacks out there are playing like they're 11. They're 11 or 12-year-olds.
Like he's the tiniest guy I've ever seen.
He is tiny. Quick as a cat,
it's a risk. Boy. But by the way, a lot of people say, well, why would he do it? Well, they say he really hadn't had a ton of at-bats as a baseball player. He's probably, at best case, 2 to 3 years away from the majors. His 4.6 is signing bonus, so he's going to make peanuts these first few years. And then even if he makes it, which, by the way, first-round baseball draft picks are far from a sure thing.
Right.
Okay? They're just as big a swing and miss candidates as first-round quarterbacks.
And by the way, 3 years is generous to get to the bigs.
Yeah, but he's 21. But they say by 3 years he'd be 24, okay?
I mean, he would have to kill it.
Even if he's good, he wouldn't be eligible for arbitration for another 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay? So, actually, from a financial standpoint, in the first 6 or 8 years, it's a no-brainer to go to the NFL and be a first-round pick.